Now, frankly, I'm sick of watching YouTube videos in which overweight men with a pack of cigarettes in their breast pocket are bragging to me about how they have this massive underground bunker that's fully stocked with food and weapons and precious metals to last out any apocalypse. Hello everybody, Silverpicker here, and today's video is going to be a controversial one because I am going to be talking about something that frustrates me to no end in the prepper, survivalist, silver stacker world, and that is this unfounded assumption that buying gold and silver, investing in precious metals, is like the be-all and end-all of your financial preps and your emergency preparedness. Now, in this video, I'm going to share with you 9 different preps, some financial, some not financial, that I think are more important than investing in gold or silver. Now, before all you keyboard warriors start clacking away at your keyboards telling me how big of an idiot I am in the comments section, please know that of course I think that gold and silver are indeed important parts of an emergency preparedness plan, of a financial portfolio. Clearly, I have a coins and precious metals YouTube channel, so I like this stuff. I just want to make a point that it is not the be-all and end-all, and that there are a lot of different things that you can do with your next dollar that are a little bit wiser than spending it on yet another ounce of gold or another ounce of silver. So to start us off, at number 1 is indeed a really important financial prep, and that is starting a Roth IRA. Now, if you don't know what a Roth IRA is, I have a video right over here in this card that I believe is actually the most important video I've ever made, and it tells you everything you need to know to get started investing in a Roth IRA. But in short, essentially a Roth IRA is a special type of investment account, especially for retirement, that allows you to get free money. Normally, when you buy and sell stocks, you are taxed on the profit. With a Roth IRA, however, you are not taxed a single dime on your profit. If you start investing in your Roth IRA at 18 years old and you let it ride and keep investing the maximum amount every year until you're 67 years old, when you retire, you will have contributed about $294,000. Now, that's a lot of money, but over the course of 49 years, it's very reasonable. However, the value of your investments at just an 8% growth rate would be $3.4 million. That means $3.4 million minus the $300,000 that you invested is a profit of $3.1 million that you get to keep tax-free. This is such a good deal that the government puts a $6,000 cap on how much you can contribute each year. Because if not, people would just do all of their investing in a Roth IRA. But basically, if you earn money and you can afford to put in the maximum amount every year of $6,000, you should literally max out your Roth IRA contributions before buying even a single ounce of silver. Now, here's the point where I make a disclaimer and explain that I am not a professional financial advisor, and you should just take this with a grain of salt as one man on your little screen's opinions and what works for me. Now, I have a bunch of other financial related preps that we're going to get to later in the video, but for number 2, let's move on to something that's a little bit more traditional in the prepper world, and that is being prepared for massive public health disasters like COVID-19. The last 2 years have made a lot of people outside of the prepper community eat their slice of humble pie. A global pandemic in this day and age? Nonsense. Well, here we are. So the whole entire world has been turned up on its side for the last 2 years, and a lot of people realize that things that they once thought were impossible or improbable came to pass. Now, there are lots of different ways to prepare for massive public health crises such as global pandemics or nuclear or chemical attacks or anything in between, but the one we're going to focus on today is having a good quality gas mask. And this one is from the sponsor of today's video, Mira Safety. Now, many people may look at a gas mask like this one and just scoff and say, oh, those are just for those nut jobs that dig out bunkers in their backyards and wait for the apocalypse. Well, I say to those people that they're just either naive or have very poor memories. Now, these Mira Safety gas masks were designed for use in CBRN scenarios. That means that these will protect you and your family from chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear agents that are in the environment. Now, that may sound a little bit abstract and unrealistic to you, but think back just over the course of my own lifetime about all these different things that this would be very useful for. I grew up in New York City, and when 9/11 happened, Lower Manhattan was blanketed with carcinogenic dust, and obviously we know what happened from the fallout of that. Japan Japan, a first world country, just 10 years ago had the Fukushima nuclear disaster. How about the countless volcanic eruptions that have occurred throughout the entire world? And even lower stake stuff, like in our own backyard in the United States, all the civil unrest in the past couple of years where there's tear gas canisters throughout the streets and rioting. This is something that can protect you. And remember that little old thing called COVID-19? Mira makes super high quality masks at extremely affordable prices. What I have here is their full face mask with the panoramic visor, the drop leg gas mask pouch for rapid deployment, CBRN filter, which comes vacuum sealed like this to ensure its 20-year shelf life, and a Camelback compatible drinking system. Having a good quality gas mask in your prepping inventory is an invaluable item, and the best part is that it's like a one and done purchase. These have a freaking 20-year shelf life. Okay, I gotta show you my favorite feature, which is the integrated drinking system. Check this out. Basically, this has a built-in straw over here, and it's a closed system with a valve. And what you do, you open up the valve, you take the special bottle, the special canteen that comes with it, which has also a one-way valve. You stick this in, and now it's sealed in there. I can raise this up and drink through the straw that goes into my mouth over here and drink without taking the mask off. And that way you can avoid dehydration while staying safe and getting away from the danger zone. Now the Mira safety gas masks have a million other awesome features, including shatter-resistant visor, a speech diaphragm. Yes, you can hear me talking normally while wearing it, which is pretty uncommon among gas masks, and it's at a great, great price. These are used by militaries, police organizations all over the world. They are professional and fantastic. I highly recommend them. If you're interested in getting one for yourself or to protect your entire family, the links are below. I highly recommend it. Now I have a few more financial preps that are better than gold and silver coming up in a bit, but while we're on the topic of safety, I want to talk about number 3, which is having good emergency medical training. Now notice, I did not say good emergency medical gear, I said training. Now the gear of course is important, but having good training is even more so. Now many of you watching this may not know this, but I actually am also a certified EMT. So in my spare time, I volunteer almost every single day in that capacity as an emergency first responder. Now I have my medical gear bag here, and it's got everything from an oxygen tank to tourniquets and much, much more, but without any of this, I can still show up to a medical emergency and help save a life because of my training. Now I'm not saying that each and every one of you watching needs to take a 200-hour certification course and become a professional EMT, but I am saying that maybe you should try out going to a CPR class. A lot of libraries offer it, sometimes even your job offers it, or even just going online and looking up what are the signs and symptoms of a heart attack or stroke, because this knowledge can truly save a life, whether or not you're in some crazy SHTF situation or just going about your daily business and find somebody in need. Now, if this topic interests you and you want to learn a little bit more about my life as a medic and what's in my gear bag, if you become a Patreon patron, you can see that because this month's Patreon exclusive video focuses just on that. And if you want access to that, the links are below. And on top of that, you'll get the best reward there is, which is getting access to my private Discord server in which we talk about coin collecting, precious metals investing, and honestly, we just goof around and have a lot of fun. It's a super active community. It's awesome. I love it. And I would love to see you there. So click on the links, support my Patreon campaign. I can't wait to see you there. And after my shameless Patreon plug, we are up to number 4, which is yet another financial prep, and that is to get out of debt. Now, before you keyboard warriors start clacking away again at the keyboards and telling me, what about all the good parts of debt, like mortgages, etc., small business loans? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the most common types of negative debt, like credit card debt. Carrying a balance on your credit card is just about the dumbest thing you can do for your financial future. Most credit cards charge between 17 and 25% interest annually on your purchases. That means every time you buy something for $100, you have to cough up another $25 every single year in interest. That is absolutely terrible. That's the cost of an ounce of silver today. So if you're buying silver while you still have credit card debt, you're actually losing. So if you have credit card debt, before you buy your next ounce of silver, throw that money towards getting rid of that debt. You will thank me, you will thank yourself in the future. Number 5 is another traditional type of prep that straddles the line between gear and training, and that is owning a weapon and knowing how to use it. Now, I'm all for having a firearm for personal and home defense, but frankly, my feeling is if you don't really know how to use it, if you're not well trained in it, you shouldn't have it. Now, I personally do not own a firearm yet, but I am planning on getting one and learning how to use it. I would love for those of you who have firearms and know about it to put in the comments below what type of firearm you would recommend as a first, and also what type of training you'd recommend. See, I teach you, you teach me, good deal, right? Now, number 6 is gonna be one that a lot of people get mad at me on, but number 6 is regular exercise. That's right, the best thing you can do for your future to prep for the most unlikely scenarios is to be physically fit. And honestly, this gets to the root of my problem with a lot of the prepper community, and that's that they focus on preparing for these crazy outlandish circumstances, SHTF situations, apocalyptic events, but they neglect preparing for things that are all but guaranteed to happen, like growing older and retiring. Now, frankly, I'm sick of watching YouTube videos in which overweight men with a pack of cigarettes in their breast pocket are bragging to me about how they have this massive underground bunker that's fully stocked with food and weapons and precious metals to last out any apocalypse. Now, I'm not a sucker. I am not naive. I definitely believe in prepping. I'm an EMT. I told you that I think that people are naive for thinking that big disasters can't happen to them. But on the other hand, if your goal is to really protect yourself and your family, if that's truly your goal, then the odds of needing an arsenal of weapons to fend off looters during an apocalyptic event is infinitely lower than your risk of heart attack, stroke, diabetes, and cancer from all those cheeseburgers and cigarettes. If you're on a tight budget and you have to choose between another ounce of silver or a gym membership every single month, go with the gym membership. If you're enjoying this video, I encourage you to hit that big old red subscribe button and join us for more, because I make awesome videos every single week. And please do me the ultimate YouTube solid of hitting that like button. It takes you just a second and it means the world to me. Now, I have one more financial prep to share with you at the end, but here we are first at number 7, which is coming up with an emergency plan for you and your family. Now, I guarantee you that when you know what hits the fan, the first thing you're going to think of is your family's safety, not your silver or gold stack. And that's why it is imperative that you come up with a plan for your family during stressful situations so you guys know what to do, where to be, and how to do it. That means coming up with an alternative plan for communication that doesn't rely on cell phones. That means knowing where and when to meet, and coming up with contingencies in case things go wrong. All of this will up your odds of reuniting with your family, surviving and thriving in an emergency scenario. Now, number 8 is the most obvious one on this list, but I couldn't not include it, and that is having food, water, and medication. As the old saying goes, you can't eat gold, you can't eat silver. So get yourself some shelf-stable food, get yourself some bottled water, maybe some purification tablets or a filter, and make sure that if you take prescriptions that you have enough to get you through any emergency situations. And number 9, the last prep on our list, is indeed another financial prep, and that is to own your own home. Now, it's not lost on me how difficult that is. I live in a city where a 1-bedroom apartment costs over $1 million. And I'm not there yet. I don't own my own home yet, but it is something that I aspire to, and it is something that is critically important for your financial stability. Like I've said throughout this video, yes, it's important to prepare for these big apocalyptic, cataclysmic events, but it's also equally, if not more important, to prepare for things that are much more likely that happen in everyday life. And owning your own home can protect from one of the biggest disasters, which is unemployment. We've seen it time and time again. In 2008, during the financial crisis, a lot of people who had stable jobs for many years, a lot of people who were very successful, lost their jobs. And if they owned their homes, they were able to weather the storm. And if they didn't, unfortunately, there were people who were out on the street. I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to anybody. And that's why I think that it is a really good place to end on this note of owning your own home. It's not something you can do overnight, but it is definitely something that is worth working towards, something that I myself am working towards, and I hope you guys are too. So that about does it. That was 9 preps that I think are equally or more important than gold or silver. Do you think I missed something? If I did, put it in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. And a big, big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Mira Safety Gas Masks. If you want to pick one up, like I said, the links are below. It's a great deal. Definitely check it out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. If you're already a subscriber, thank you very much. If not, hit that big old red subscribe button, because I've got a lot more awesome stuff coming down the pike. But until then, stay tuned, and Silverpicker out. A huge, huge thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. You guys rock. Thank you to all of my new patrons. Thank you to all of my old patrons. If you're not yet a patron and want to become one, the links are below, and I can't wait to meet you in the Discord.